some envelopes and stuff for us that we can send stuff in?
Sure, there should be some in there,
Okay.
in that whole package.
Guys, the world we live in is a mess. If you don't know that, you don't have a TV. Because everything that's on the news is all about the world, the wars. It's escalating very rapidly. Internal fighting in all those Arabic countries, uprisings, a lot of violence. But I want to tell you, the violence has been going on a long, long time. It's just now getting to the point where entire nations are blowing up themselves. You know, if you see what's happening in Syria, where the government itself is killing its own people. You know, but you know, guys, look what happened in Iraq. You know, with Saddam using mustard gas and all that stuff on his own people, killing thousands and thousands of people. Been going on a long time. A lot of people are confused about the reason for all this. And I want to let you know that, I'll tell you, everything that you need to know about life is in this book, in the Word of God. And so I'm going to answer for you this morning. The question is, why do these radical Muslims hate us? Well, why do they hate everybody, it seems like? And the Bible is so clear on this subject, and I'm pretty sure that you guys will be clear on it too by the time you leave here today. Why do radical Muslims hate us? We'll open up your bulletin. It all begins in Genesis, in the beginning. Genesis chapter 15 is where this starts. And I'm going to read you guys a story that it's an awesome story, and it's real popular. A lot of people have read it, but a lot of times they don't associate this story with what's going on right now. Well, God was smart enough in the beginning to be able to write down stuff that's relevant now. People say, oh, that Bible, that was written way, way back, and it's not relevant now. Well, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It is just as relevant now as it ever was. And so, in Genesis chapter 15, after this, well, let's stop there. After what? Well, Abraham had just rescued his nephew Lot. They had a big old fight, you know, basically gone to war, and that's what leads us up to this point. His nephew Lot was living in Sodom, and most of you know what that city was all about. And so Abram went and rescued him, and they had a big battle. So after that, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your very great reward. But Abram said, O sovereign Lord, what can you give me since I remain childless, and the one who will inherit my estate is Eliezer of Damascus? And Abram said, you have given me no children, so a servant in my household will be my heir. See, we all of us seem to have human solutions to problems when God's already got it worked out. I've told you guys many times that God is already in our tomorrows, setting the stage for us to arrive. He already knows what's going to go on tomorrow. Okay? So, in the Bible study we do here on Sunday mornings, Experiencing God, it tells us that God is already at work. We don't have to come up with a plan. We simply have to join Him in His plan. He's way smarter than we are. His plan has got to be a lot better than our plan. And so it'd be kind of foolish for Him to try to bless our worldly plan when he has got a heavenly plan already engaged. And Abram said, "You have given me no children, so a servant in my household will be my heir." Then the word of the Lord came to him, "This man will not be your heir." He said, "No, that's not what's going to happen." Then he said, "But a son coming from your own body." Now remember, Abram's an old dude, right? "A son coming from your own body will be your heir." He took him outside and said, "Look up at the heavens and count the stars, if indeed you can count them." Then he said to him, "So shall your offspring be." Abram believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness. So Abram believed it. Abram, as soon as God told him the plan, he came up with an alternative plan. See? God says that I'm going to make you the father of nations. He said, "No," he said, it's going to have to be somebody else. It can't happen with me. I want to tell you guys that God does impossible things, even today. Even today. And I think all of you will know that when you think about what God just gave us, man. In this place, gave us this property, gave us this church. God is still in the miracle working business. Sarai didn't trust God, Abram's wife. Remember, this is before their names became Abraham and Sarah. Okay? Sarah didn't trust God. She didn't believe this was going to happen. Right? So in Genesis 16 it says, "Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children." They didn't have any kids. They were old. But she had an Egyptian maidservant named Hagar. So she said to Abram, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Go sleep with my maidservant. Perhaps I can build a family through her." Another instance of wanting to lean on her own understanding. Sarah didn't believe that God was going to do what he said he was going to do. "Perhaps I can build a family through her." Abram agreed to what Sarah said. Now, isn't that like him, huh? So he was still in doubt. So after Abram had been living in Canaan 10 years, Sarah, his wife, took her Egyptian maidservant Hagar and gave her to her husband to be his wife. He slept with Hagar, and she conceived. Then when she knew she was pregnant, she began to despise her mistress. Guys, right there, to me, that tells me that polygamy can't work. Can you imagine a whole bunch of wives in one house? And all the fighting and feuding and stuff going on, the jealousy and all that stuff? That would be unbearable, and that's what was happening right here. They implemented their own plan, and now there's strife. There's no peace in it. And that's the same way with our lives, guys. When we do things ourselves, we try to take shortcuts, we do things ourselves that don't line up with the Word of God. It can't be blessed, man. It just can't. So then Sarai said to Abram, "You are responsible for the wrong I am suffering." Now she's the one that said, "Hey, I got this lovely little thing. Would you like that?" He says, Yeah, I'll take care of that. And so they all got outside of what God said, man. God told them. "You are responsible for the wrong I am suffering. I put my maidservant in your arms, and now she knows she is pregnant. She despises me. May the Lord judge between you and me. Your servant is in your hands," Abram said. "Do with her whatever you think best." Isn't that something? He gets her pregnant and then blows her off.